umwe yaserukiye igihugu cy'Ubugande na babiri baserukiye igihugu cha Sudani y'Epfo. Tubongera amashi bariko barashikira hano. Karibu bavukanye dusangiye umuryango. Karibu mu muryango, mushike mwiza, mushike mu muryango mwabanyu, mugira ico tumutuyagiye mu byo mubayemwo. Aha barata kutubwira ibitari bike kugira baducira agace, baratubonye kuvejo bagire n'impanuro banaduhaye. Reka ince nsaba umuvukanyi Christophe ace adufasha mu kuza arabaha amajambo.
Mwiriwe mwese agenzi inshuti waruka na abanyakubaho bose bari ngaha baje kudufasha muri iki gikorwa. Anini jambo si jewe baraza kuvyivugira, mugabo hanini nagomba mvuge muri mi bose batahura kugira bashobore kumenya ibigira bikurikira. So my dear friends from the East African community, thanks for being here. So we have spent a lot of time talking to each other, and just wanted to introduce you to the public. So you will have your time to introduce yourself and speak. Feel free to speak with the convenient language that you need. Alors pour nos collègues du Rwanda, mais aussi de la RDC, sentez-vous libre de parler en français, bien même en anglais, comme vous le voulez. Alors nous allons directement commencer par la personne qui est directement à ma gauche. So please introduce yourself and continue with
Vijana wa Burundi oye! Vijana wa Burundi amahoro! Wakubwa zangu shikamoni! Kwa majina naitwa Ibn Mzava na ni balozi wa vijana wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki kutoka Tanzania. Nimefurahi sana kuwepo hapa. Kwanza kabisa kabla sijaendelea, ningependa kushukuru serikali ya Burundi kutualika hapa kwenye Youth Impulse 3rd edition. Mimi nilibahatika kuwepo mwaka jana kwenye event iliyofanyika na hisi ilikuwa maeneo ya Kitega. Na kitu ambacho nimeona ni kwamba vijana wa Burundi wapo very serious kuhakikisha kwamba 2040 mnaikuta. Kwa clap hands for yourselves for that. Lakini pia ningependa kushukuru sana Rais wa Burundi Mheshimiwa Evariste Ndayishimiye kwa sababu sio tu kwamba ni rais ya Burundi, lakini ni rais wa vijana. Kwa sisi wote hapa kutoka Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki ni rais wetu. Kwa tunashukuru sana jitihada zake kuhakikisha kwamba vijana wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki wanaendelea. Kwa kitu ambacho mimi nitafanya hapa ni kuangalia au kutoa experiences za vitu ambavyo Tanzania inafanya kuhakikisha kwamba vijana wake wanakuzwa na wanaendelea. Kutoa experiences kutoka Tanzania. Kwanza kabisa, Mheshimiwa Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rais wa Tanzania, amefanya jitihada kubwa sana kuhakikisha kama sisi vijana wa Tanzania tunaendelea. Na kuna fursa vingi ambavyo vipo Tanzania. Kitu ambacho kilizinduliwa mwaka huu kinaitwa BBT, program ya BBT au Building a Better Tomorrow. Na hii ni program maalum kwa ajili ya vijana ambao wapo kwenye kilimo. Food production ambao ipo Tanzania kwa sasa hivi ni 4% tu. Na tunategemea by 2040 tuwe na food production ambao ina contribute kwenye GDP ya nchi at least 10%. Na watu ambao watafanya hivyo ni sisi vijana. By the way, sisi vijana tukitaka kutekeleza Vision 2040 ni sisi ambao tutafanya hivyo. Wakubwa zetu wametangulia na wamepave njia ya sisi kuhakikisha kwamba tuna achieve hiyo kitu. Kitu kingine ni kwenye halmashauri au kwenye wilaya kuna 4% ya budget ya halmashauri au ya districts ambazo zinatengwa kwa ajili ya vijana. Kwa kijana, ukitaka kuwa na biashara yako, ukitaka kuwa na chochote kile ambao cha kimaendeleo, kuna hela ambao kipo ambao kimetengwa kabisa na serikali kuhakikisha kwamba wewe unaweza ukafanya biashara zako na vitu kama hivyo. Lakini cha tatu kwenye upande wa fursa ni upande wa ujenzi. Kwenye ujenzi wote, kwenye structure yote ambao kinajengwa kwenye halmashauri, asilimia 30% kinatengwa kwa ajili ya vijana ili waweze wakajiendeleza, wale ambao wana makampuni za viwandani. Lakini cha mwisho kwenye upande wa digital au skilling, tuna TVET au upande wetu sisi tunaita vocational education. Kwa wale ambao hawakubahatika kuingia kwenye masomo, kuna vocational education ambayo inapewa kwa ajili ya vijana, ili sisi ambao kwa mfano hatujaingia shule tunaweza kujiskill na other skills ambao zipo kwenye mitandaoni. Lakini cha mwisho, elimu ni muhimu sana katika kuhakikisha kwamba sisi kama vijana sio kama tunajijumisha tu kwenye akili, lakini we expand our outputs and our mindsets. Serikali imehakikisha kwamba usomaji au elimu kuanzia kidato cha kwanza mpaka form 6 ni bure kwa ajili ya watu ambao wanataka kusoma. Kwa hiyo hizi ni jitihada ambazo serikali ya Tanzania imefanya. Labda nimalize kwa kutoa ushauri wangu kwa sisi kama vijana. Ushauri wangu na point 3 tu, alafu nitamalizia. Cha kwanza, na sisi kama vijana tujitahidi kuinvest kwenye shida ambao tunazikuta kwenye jamii, na sio kwamba unaingia kwenye biashara kwa sababu mwenzako anafanya biashara. Kwa mfano, kama tumesikiliza vizuri jana, kuna changamoto nyingi ambao tumediscuss kwenye hizi channels nyingi ambao wana Burundi wanaziface. Je, wewe kama kijana ambao ulihudhuria jana, ulipata solution ambao unaweza kuitengeneza kwenye biashara? Hiyo ni swali ambao labda tunaweza kuuliza. Lakini kitu kingine, tujitahidi kupata exposure, kwa sababu exposure inakufanya uangalie kitu ambao hakipo kwenye nchi yako, ili wewe ukirudi kwenye nchi yako uinvest kweli kweli. Second last thing ambao tunazungumzia ni kitu ambao tulizungumzia, issue ya standardization. Kwenye East African community tujaribu kuhakikisha kwamba bidhaa zetu ambao tunazitengeneza ni bidhaa ambao zina standard za East African community. Kwa sababu kwa mfano hapa Burundi, Mheshimiwa Rais alihakikisha kwamba facilitate au ratify AfCFTA agreement hapa Burundi. Kwa hiyo ni kitu ambacho sisi kama vijana wa Burundi ni fursa, kwamba vitu ambavyo tunatengeneza hapa sio kwamba tu yani vinaishia tu hapa, viende nje ya Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, viende Afrika, viende duniani. Kitu cha mwisho, to invest kwenye soft skills. Sisi kama wa Afrika tuna shida kubwa ya soft skills. Unaweza ukawa na technical experience, unaweza ukawa na chochote kile ambao unaweza ukawa ndani yako, lakini kama huwezi ukatumia kitu ambao kipo ndani yako kuexpress kwa vijana au kwa watu wengine, huwezi ukafanya biashara na huwezi ukafanya kitu chochote kile. Sisi huko Tanzania tuna taasisi ambao kinahakikisha kwamba vijana ambao wapo kwenye primary schools, secondary schools na all the way up to universities, tuna build soft skills ili waweze, kwa mfano wakiingia kwenye vyuo, they have to be the first. When they enter the business area, they have to be the first. So invest in your soft skills kwa kisha kama sisi kama vijana we are the best and tuna achieve 2040. Nimaliza kabisa kutoa fursa. Kuna fursa vitatu nataka nivitangaze hapa. Wewe kama kijana, kama uko tayari, uchukue very fast. Cha kwanza kabisa, East Africa Community kina kitu kinaitwa 8th University Debates on EAC Integration. Kama wewe ni mwanachuo sasa hivi, naomba uingie kwenye website ya EAC, uone fursa hiyo. Wewe kama kijana unaweza kaandika essay ili uweze hiyo debate zitafanyika hapa Burundi tarehe 18-19 Oktoba. Kwa ingia tu kwenye EAC website, utapata hiyo fursa. Ni opportunity ya wewe kuwa ambassador au balozi wa vijana wa miaka 23-24. Cha pili ni African Union Youth Volunteer Corps. Deadline yake ni tarehe 30. Kwa wewe kama unataka ufanye kazi na Umoja wa Afrika au the African Union, ingia kwenye website ya African Union, kuna fursa pale, na sisi kama vijana yani ni fursa zetu. Cha mwisho kabisa ni IOM Youth Ambassadors. Pia ukiingia kwenye website hiyo ni fursa ambayo wewe kama kijana uweze kuingia nacho. Kwa sisi kama vijana tunaweza, naomba tuseme vijana tunaweza. Na tunaweza kweli. Kwa asante sana kwa muda huo.
Nashukuru sana Eben kwa utangulizi mzuri. Jina langu ni Juma Emmanuel Erasti, natoka Tanzania. Nilikuwa balozi wa vijana kabla ya Eben. I prefer to use English. Burundi Vision 2040 is more of something that is propounded by the government leaders now. Now, in the coming years, by 2040, chances are high that the leaders who are in positions right now might not be in the same seats. So it will be us, the young people in Burundi, being asked by the young people by then, if the same is not realized as the time approaches. So let's take ownership of the vision and not think it's something that is to be taken up. To be taken up by the government, but should be an initiative that young people should take and stand at the forefront to lead in championing the same. Eben has said much from Tanzania, but I will base my submission in a platform that is a continental regional program that is called You Lead Africa. Usually it's once was in form of a summit which started in 2017, which is an avenue for young people to engage with government leaders and relevant stakeholders in the youth sector, in politics, business, peace and security, and gender equality as cross-cutting thematic areas. So since 2017, ULEAD has been co-convened by the East African Community and the MS Training Center for Development Cooperation in Arusha. And this year, the summit will be held in Nairobi, where young people in Burundi are also very much welcomed to attend, and the applications will be on by end of next month, October. Now, last year we had the Honorable Vice President presenting, or rather doing a speech during the ULEAD Summit, and so this is an avenue that young people in Burundi should capitalize. So it rests upon the government to sort of prepare or rather develop the citizens, but then we as young people and responsible citizens should be at the forefront to do the same by taking stock of the opportunities that are established by the government and relevant stakeholders. So if we don't take the initiative, we'll then be speaking and talking and then not putting into action the action points that emanate out from these conversations won't be sort of making more sense. So I call upon young people that we are supposed to come up, make what are provided here as action points into reality. PAEG is doing a good work. How are we in the point to support the work that PAEG is doing? Eben provided an example in Tanzania where the government provides 4% for young people, and the challenge has always been that young people usually, even when they're given that amount of money, they don't sort of bring back the money for other young people to take the same and excel in terms of of business development. So let's take charge and use the opportunities that available, and then create space for others to come in and use the same for the for realization of the Burundi Vision 2040 and in terms of being an economically independent country and more of a developed country by 2060, I think. Asante sana.
Burundi oye! We should have the energy. Burundi oye! East Africa oye! Oh wow, beautiful. My name is Ayema Beklang. I'm from South Sudan. And I am the East African Deputy Youth Ambassador to South Sudan. It's really a pleasure to be here. Burundi is a beautiful country. I'm in love with it. And I just want to remind all the youth in here, the future is never tomorrow, it all starts today. 40 years vision is all starting today. You're not going to wait for 40 years to say that the vision is in 40 years. It's all starting today and we need to get hold of it. So let's stop procrastinating everything, stop pushing everything. I'll do it in the next 1 hour, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, next month, next year. You should all start today. We should all start today. If I come back to Burundi, maybe in the next 1 year or two, I should believe that we are better politically, financially, and socially, plus economically especially. So I urge all of us to start whatever we are supposed to do today and stop procrastinating everything. I'll leave my colleague to elaborate more on that.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to appreciate the people of Burundi for the hospitality and the reception that was given to us since we arrived up to today. It shows that you guys are generous and you are very good people. I think as much as we are here also to contribute on what are we doing in our respective countries, but there's also a lot to learn from the program that is done by BEG and also from the youth of Burundi. I'm actually impressed with the achievement that I've seen so far since yesterday up to now, and from the testimony of the young people who are spoken. So these are the lessons that we are going to learn as a partner state and also as brothers to Burundian people. And I think also our discussion is going to be in the contents of the Vision 2040 and 2060. Although we are trying to talk about our experiences and what we do in our countries, but we have to relate it in that context. Now, to me, I always like to throw questions. And what comes to my mind is the fact that what keeps Burundi all this time the same way as it is today? Putting in consideration that the country gained its independence, I think in 1960s, if I'm not mistaken. So if we be able to answer this question, then we'll be able now to line with our vision of 2040 and 2060. Because what keeps us this way, we must avoid it. We must avoid it. Whether it's the bad governance, whether it's the mindset, whether it's the way we live, whether it's the way we do our things, whether it's our educational system, then we have to look back and see what was wrong and how we can correct it. I think this should be the fundamental question we should ask ourselves. And answering this question, through such programs, I'm also impressed with the way that the leadership of the country is focusing on how to support the young people. And these visions cannot be achieved without the youth being the center of the change. But now, it's looked to me as if it's only His Excellency the President and the leadership of the current leadership that are the one caring about the young people, which is okay, but without legal frameworks, this program is not going to last. If I told the new leadership came, then all these initiatives, all these programs, all these achievements is just going to be put in the past, and the new leadership will now come with the new policies, new programs that may not be in line with the same what is happening today. In my country where I came from, South Sudan, we are also 72% of the population of the young people. The same thing here in Burundi. And the rest of the East African countries, the young people are constitute 65% of the entire population. So there's no way you talk about any development or any change without the young people. And also when you talk about the development, the human beings are the centers of any development. Because you cannot have developed countries without developing the people. Now, this is one aspect of the youth empowerment. When you talk about providing the young people with the skills and the resources that they need to start their businesses and their enterprise. This is commendable. But we have to look at it from the two aspects. The aspect number one is that we are seeing here. And that one in South Sudan, we call it Youth Enterprise Fund. It's a program initiated by the government, but then it has become, we develop it at the National Youth Council as an act in the parliament. And it was passed in the parliament, and that youth enterprise is help the young entrepreneurs and young people who have business ideas like what we have witnessed today to come up with their project, to come up with their business plans, their business ideas. And then the government is going to give them loan without interest. Because we are all aware that the banks, the commercial banks, they always charge a lot of percentage. So the only way the government to support the young people is through this enterprise. So if the government of Burundi could also think about similar enterprise and make it as an act of parliament, so that we have a president come, this program is going to be permanent and is not going to be changed. The aspect number two, we are also a young country. I think we are the youngest East African countries. We also have a challenge of a skills workforce. Because when you say also the youth are 72% of the population, that is mean the whole workforce are the young people. The government also come up with what we call it vocational training centers. That was introduced in our 13 states. Because South Sudan, it's formed from states, not districts. Some other regions are formed from districts, counties, and all this. But in South Sudan, we have 13 states. So the government come up with the initiative of having vocational trainings in all the 10 states to give the young people the knowledge and the skills that they need for them to be employed. And that will help in reducing the number of unemployment among the young people. And the Ministry of Labor in South Sudan is the one, in partnership with the Ministry of Youth and Sport and the National Youth Council, they are the one spearheading this program, targeting dropout schools, newly graduated students from the various universities, to make sure that they give them skills to be professionals in their different fields. Some of these youths were trained to be in carpentries, some of them in in other technical skills, and then after they graduated from the course, the government will provide them with the tools and the business startup for them to go and start their program. So also this one is in line, because for you to realize the vision of 2040 and 2060, you just not need entrepreneurs, but also you need workforce that who have skills to help the government develop and make the development reality. So these are the two aspects that we need also to focus on. Politically, in South Sudan, we also have what we call it 20% affirmative action. That gives the young people a right to participate in decision-making processes and also in government. While we are talking now, we have not less than 120 young parliamentarians. People who are 18 to 35 years old. It's never happened in the history of Sudan and South Sudan. But now, because of the advocacy of the young people, the government were able to give 20% affirmative action to the young people in various government institutions. So I want also to ask the young people of Burundi not only to focus on entrepreneurship and being self-reliant, but also your voices must be heard. You also have to participate in decision making. You also be part of the government. So this is something that also we should all advocate for, and we talk with the leadership. Because what I've seen, you guys are lucky. You have a leader who have put the young people in the center of his policies. And that is something that is lacking in most of the countries. So we should utilize the presence of the leadership of this country who is seeing the importance of the young people and push for our agendas and push for our work to be done. For us also to realize the agenda of 2040 and 2030 is also depending on creativity and innovation. Because the world is developed through creativity, innovation, and imagination. We should not depend entirely on the old ways of doing things. So I want the people of Burundi, especially the young people, to travel around the world and come up with new skills, come up with new ideas and implement them back home. If you are seeing countries like China, who are now more developed than some of the Western countries, they came to America and then they get the knowledge and the data, and then they go back and implementing in their own countries. Like now, Google is no longer working in China, but they use Google of the US and they take it to China for some years, and then from there they develop their own hub, and now they chase away the Google. The same thing with Uber. They used to use Uber, but now they're using a totally different app. But we African, when we got the opportunity of going outside the countries, we go and remain there. When you see the good life, driving car, having a good job, having a good payment, you decide to relinquish your citizenship and then become a Western, living in Western country. Then who is going to develop our countries if we are exporting our skills to the other countries and help them develop their countries, and we leave our own continent? This one also has to do with all continents, it's not only in Burundi. Lastly, the issue of educational system or in Africa, in all. This is something also need to be revised. Most of our African countries, they study theories that will not help, that will not produce skills, that will not produce workforce. You end up studying administrations, you end up studying law, you end up studying political science, that will not lead you to a workplace immediately after graduation. So for us to make this agenda realize, we also need to focus on how we can change our curriculums to match the standard of life and to match what we need. What are the areas that are lacking in Burundi in terms of development? And then we should redirect our educational system based on that fact or based on that reality. So one of the issues also is the time factor. And I think someone talked about it earlier. In all these Western countries, where some of us who got an opportunity to travel and attend some forums and even panel of discussion, we always see a timing for any speaker, whether 3 minutes or 5 minutes, so that you finish your time and then give a chance to other person. But here, since yesterday, I was seeing people are just speaking openly without guidance of time. So without talking much, I have a lot of ideas that we can contribute. We will still have an opportunity of engaging, and I'm sure that we will be coming here again, and you will also visit our countries, and we will have interaction, we will get to know each other and also exchange views and what we think could help you guys and also what you think can help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Dear organizers, my fellow young people in Burundi, you're most welcome. My name is Nololo Asman. I come from Uganda. I am just very happy about this event, and I want to thank the organizers for coming up with such an innovation to come up with this big event. Before I even forget about this, let this event be rotational so that young people from different countries can host and have experience about this. I thank you. My colleagues have talked a lot of things, but I want to thank specifically the young persons that were here giving testimonies. One thing that I missed from the presentation is how best are they doing to ensure that they support others to be beneficiaries of piety. So what we need to do is also, yes, we are beneficiaries of piety. Can we be in a good position to mobilize our fellow young people to be beneficiaries? Because by the time we come here, we want to see more and more young people benefiting from the project. I want to share with you 3 things, what we are doing in Uganda. First of all, we realize that there is nothing without us. There is nothing that will come to us as young people without us. Now, these are the things that we need to do. Number 1, we need to have effective mobilization of young people. We need to mobilize our fellow young people to form groups so that they can benefit in these government programs. Number two, we need to support the innovation. We need to be innovative. As young persons, we need to all the time to think about new innovations that are coming on board. We have now these days smartphones. You can Google and see what is taking place where, and you come and replicate and actually do it more. That's the only way we shall go. Number three, we need to engage ourselves in agriculture. In Africa and everywhere, people are in agriculture. What are we doing as young people to ensure that we are beneficiaries of agriculture? Everywhere everyone is eating food, let it be Uganda, let it be everywhere. Can we engage ourselves in agriculture? This is the only way where we can, as young people, benefit and fight unemployment. Actually, we need also to be job creators. I missed to hear from our good presenters here how many jobs have they so far created in the innovations that they are doing. Whatever thing that we are doing, let's also think about our very young persons. Let's also think about giving them jobs so that we can fight the issue of unemployment that is globally, especially the young people. But as we are doing this, we still have some challenges as young persons. One of the challenges is that we understand that the governments, yes, are giving out money like the payette, but this money will not go to all young persons. So we need to closely work with the financial institutions. But our government, we need your intervention in this. These financial institutions are giving they have high rates of interest on the loans. So let the government come and intervene so that we can also be beneficiaries of the money, because we keep with them our money, but if you go there to borrow the money, they will raise the rates of the loan. Also on the same, there is also a challenge of security, collateral security. Our young people do not have land titles, but most of these financial institutions ask for the land titles for the young people to benefit this. Our government, we call upon you to come and intervene about this. But then also, the other challenge that we also facing, yes, even in Burundi here, young people have innovations. I've seen different businesses taking place, but we have a challenge of market. Now, since that we have these East African communities, we are kindly requesting our government officials to ensure that you pay for us a way how best we can have good and clear markets across the East African countries, because it is now very hard for the young person from Burundi to bring a product to Uganda. It is a bit hard because there is no that proper channel. And also that, we have also a challenge in Uganda, high taxations, especially to the businesses of young people. Everywhere a young person would wish to have a good business, and they do, they try, but because of too high taxes, our young persons have failed to come up with serious businesses. That is why these young persons do not celebrate the birth of their businesses. The business starts today, after 2 or 3 months, the business will corrupt. So let our government officials support the young people across the East African communities and have clear markets about the products we do. Lastly, how I wish the congregations here, we come up with a resolution that we need to have specifically an East African community for youth, an East African community on youth business, because we want to have what is challenging everyone is the vulnerability of the vulnerability and lack of business skills and business opportunities. I am proposing that if we come up with a forum specifically looking at the opportunities in different countries and update the young persons in our respective countries, I think most of the challenges will be solved by us. I remain no asthma, but I want to say this lastly. There will be nothing There is nothing for us without us. Young people, this is the time for us to wake up. This is the time for us to support one another, to ensure that the challenges, we overcome the challenges that are coming out on a daily basis. I thank you.
Vijana oye! Msikiki, vijana oye! Afrika Mashariki oye! Jina langu ni Esther Wamboi Gitau, nimetoka nchi ya Kenya na nimefurahia kwa hapa. Nchi yenu yapendeza kweli na mna mandhari ambayo yanapendeza. Kwanza nishukuru serikali ya Burundi kwa kuturuhusu tuwe hapa na hata kwa kutupa kikao hiki kunena nanyi na kuzungumza nanyi. Kwa hivyo ninaomba pia mniruhusu nichanganye ndimi na kwa wakati mwingine nizungumze Kiingereza. Sina weledi wa Kiingereza kama wenzangu kutoka Tanzania. Mmeniruhusu? Now, my work here is only one, and it is to talk about the government initiatives in Kenya and how the youths are being involved in Kenya. And I'm going to focus on specific areas that I feel really touch on the youth. And I always say that if you want to destroy the future of a nation, start with the youth. And if you also want to build the future of a nation, start with the youth. Hivyo ni kumaanisha kuwa wanarika are very important and they are the centerpiece when it comes to the integration as well as development of a nation. When it comes to leadership, the government of Kenya has involved the youth in the aspect of the National Youth Council. So the National Youth Council works hand in hand with the National Youth Service. Kwa hivyo taasisi ya National Youth Service, what it does is that it empowers the youth. This is by facilitating employment opportunities as well as training. So the National Youth Council also has technical as well as vocational training in the different campuses that they hold. And then the National Youth Council has engagements both at the national level and to some extent in some regional engagement level. When it comes to education, wengi husema kuwa the system in Kenya, the education system is good. I agree, but we still have a lot to learn from other East African partner states. So serikali ambayo iliondoka ya Rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta ilianzisha mazungumzo kuhusu competence based curriculum. Na bado ni mazungumzo yanayoendelea katika serikali ya Rais Daktari William Samoei Ruto. Kwa hivyo kwa sasa tunafikiria kuwa 844 system inatusaidia tu kimasomo kuwa tunakuwa bookworms. But when it comes to the skills, then the skills are missing. And what happens when you do not have employment in the white collar jobs, then you're left stranded because your hands can do basically nothing and education is not working, so you also become a burden to the economy. So the competence-based curriculum is to equip the youth such that they become a skill-based capital for the government as well as for the private sector. And many a times in such forums, the youth ask, what can the government do? And on the other side, the government is asking, what can the youth do? So it's a back and forth question and us asking each other who can do what and who is supposed to play which role. But I believe it starts with us. Can you say it starts with me? It starts with me. So before you even ask the next person, what can they do? Ask yourself, have I done the best that is required of me? Kwa hayo machache, nitamruhusu pia mwenzangu kutoka Kenya aendelee kuzungumza na kuwaelezea zaidi. Asante.
Hello Rwanda. Good afternoon. Oh, sorry. I thought, okay, actually, this is Burundi. So I learned 3 days ago before my travel that Burundi is actually different from Rwanda. Anyway, pardon me for that. So hello Burundi. My name is Ochieng Quinta. I am the founder of Art for Change Kenya. I work closely with the Ministry of Sports and Art in Kenya. And what we do with the Arts Ministry is to teach the youth to produce high-end art products that are exported to the international market. We also recycle waste into fashion and art pieces. Another thing that we do is we run textile art in Kenya. And lastly, we use art as a tool for advocacy, that is performance and visual art. Now, the reason why I may break down hizo zote is because of what I saw right in front of all of us before we came to the stage. First of all, I want to applaud Page for what they are doing in this Burundi community, for the youth specifically, and for the lady who is developing the pieces and creating the basket. That is very, very innovative. So what Art for Change does is providing innovative solution for the problems zenye youth are experiencing. And with that said, I would like to mention the things that our country, Kenya, under the leadership of President Dr. William Ruto, are doing to the nation. Now, I want to, just a month ago, we launched Talanta Plaza, one of its kind. It's the first one to be launched in the nation. And what Talanta Plaza does, it majorly focuses on the talent of the youth. And then with Talanta Plaza, there was a launch earlier called Talanta Hela, which focuses on monetizing Kenyan talent. Now, one thing I have realized is when all the youths were presenting and talking about the action plans that the leadership of this country, that is by President Honorable Evariste, and the similarity between him and Dr. William Ruto is they care for the youth. And because of that care, they have invested the money, they have invested the time, and in our country, in the hands of the CS Ababu Namwamba, who has been out there reaching out to the youth and exploring and having first-hand experience of what the youth are doing in the art. So one thing I would encourage Page to do, or even ask the youth to do, is the innovative solutions that are here. The government should at least work hand in hand with the youth to come up with copyrights. In Kenya, we have KFCB that takes care of copyrights, because these ideas are amazing. But if you don't own it legally, that would affect you when you're going to tap into the international markets. Secondly, I want to talk about the value of the creative art and our role as youths. The days when STEM was given the most attention it needed are long gone, right? Right now, we need skills that are hand developed. And when you're looking at the international market right now, last year, that is 2022 alone, the turnover was $67.8 billion US dollars. That is worldwide. So what is the role of the Burundi youth in tapping into that market? With that said, it is actually marks the second highest since 15 years ago. So what is your role as a youth in the creative industry in advocating for change and engaging the youth in bringing about those experiences to the country? Another thing, lastly, to conclude, I want to refer to one of the youth representatives who was here to share about the experiences with Page, and he had stated that there are processes and systems, and us as youth, sometimes we don't kind of develop discipline and consistency to keep up with the system. Reality be said is that if you are given that money without preparation, if it's the funding that we need and it's given to us without prior preparation, we can never be ready for what's coming forth. And with that, I would encourage all the dignitaries present in this meeting to provide or be mentors to the youth who are growing, because without a mentor, then you cannot get in the game that you don't understand. First, understand it, get the knowledge, financial and general. And lastly, I want to say that social change and economic change go hand in hand. So for the youth, one thing we say in Kenya, mambo ni matatu. There are only 3 things that we need to focus on. And the mambo ni matatu, number 1 thing is, what is the problem? What is my solution? And how am I going to do it? And with that, as a youth, the next thing is, the next thing to note is that I need to act to change, to be able to transform lives. And with that said, thank you so much. But Burundi, you are amazing. Thank you for hosting us this time.
Bonjour, Monterabino. So, je remercie le peuple burundais pour l'accueil. En tout cas, je suis émue depuis que nous sommes là. Merci beaucoup. Et je remercie aussi le gouvernement burundais pour des moments tels que, comme ça, les jeunes peuvent se partager. En tout cas, j'ai beaucoup apprécié, vraiment apprécié. Et parlant, en fait, je m'appelle Tété Esther Chungu, je suis de la RDC. Je travaille au ministère de l'intégration régionale dans mon pays. Et si vous parlez un peu de la jeunesse dans mon pays, en fait, je trouve que les problèmes sont presque les mêmes partout. Le vrai problème, le problème majeur que nous avons, c'est le chômage. C'est le chômage. Et ce chômage se retrouve dans quoi? En fait, ce n'est pas vraiment le problème principal, le chômage. Le problème principal, c'est la mentalité que nous devons changer. La mentalité que j'ai vu tout le monde circuler ici, parler de la mentalité. Et quand les gens étaient en train de parler, même s'ils ne citent pas les noms mentalité, mais vous comprenez qu'il est en train de parler de la mentalité. Cette mentalité que j'appelle vraiment bidon. C'est une mentalité qui ne nous permet pas de réfléchir. Une mentalité qui nous fait réfléchir comme des robots. Lorsque j'arrive ici, il n'y a pas de bureau, je suis bloqué. C'est une mentalité que nous devons nous en débarrasser en fait. Et je salue les efforts de mon président de la République, son Excellence Félix Antoine Tshisekedi Tshilombo et son gouvernement, pour ce qu'ils sont en train de faire pour promouvoir la jeunesse dans différents domaines, l'entrepreneuriat, dans l'éducation, nous avons la gratuité de l'enseignement, organiser des rencontres avec les jeunes, lui-même avec les jeunes et nos autorités avec les jeunes. Vraiment, le gouvernement est en train de faire sa part. Mais comme je disais, il y a quelque chose qui vient comme virus, c'est cette mentalité-là qui fait en sorte de faire comme si ça bloquait. En tout cas, ça ne nous bloque pas. Si tu veux te débloquer, tu vas te débloquer. Parce que la conscience, nous devons avoir la conscience de ce que nous avons et de ce que nous sommes. En fait, je voulais juste te parler à un jeune en ces lieux. Mon pays, ton pays a un futur glorieux qui reste caché dans un mystère. Et ce mystère, en fait, sera débloqué par l'utilisation de tes potentiels, l'utilisation de tes qualités, l'utilisation de ce que toi tu as. Juste regarde autour de toi, tu auras une idée. Juste regarde autour de toi, tu auras une idée. Moi, je me dis, le jeune entrepreneur qui a 40 millions, je suis épatée. Il ne peut même pas envier quelqu'un qui est au bureau. Quelqu'un qui est au bureau. Lorsque nous avons la mentalité, lorsque j'ai fini les universités, je reste seulement, j'attends seulement les bureaux. Mais il y a quelqu'un qui a travaillé dans l'informel, il a déjà 40 millions. Que cela puisse nous révolter, nous jeunes. Que cela puisse nous révolter. Et le futur de ton pays, de mon pays est entre mes mains. est entre tes mains. En fait, les jeunes, nous devons, comme nous qui sommes ici, nous sommes déjà conscientisés, nous avons déjà la conscience. C'est à nous maintenant d'aller conscientiser les autres jeunes. C'est le défi que nous avons, de changer cette mentalité-là. En fait, si la mentalité-là change, nous aurons gagné à une grande partie de ces défis que nous sommes en train de combattre. C'est un peu ça. Merci.
Burundi oye! Je réponds au nom de Olo et Songu Sarah. Je viens de la RDC. Bon, je suis un peu souffrante, j'ai l'angine, du coup, ma collègue, elle a tout dit. Merci beaucoup.
Amahoro. My name is Mutagoma Sarah, and I am a youth from Rwanda, the EAC Youth Ambassador to Rwanda. And I also wanted to contribute two things, as this forum is about the youth. Firstly, I would like to thank the government of Burundi for putting into consideration the youth of Burundi and knowing that the future is all about the youth. And the 2040 vision we're looking at, it will be all about the generation that who have started to create as for now. I'll talk about two things, which is youth inclusion and youth involvement. Firstly, I'll talk on the side of the government, which is firstly, this forum was all about the youth and them coming into a realization that this is really important and you are the future of Burundi is actually an appreciation to be considered. And secondly, I would like to tackle the point of youth, including youth in decision making into the economic sector, the private sector. Everything is all about them. If you don't have people who are on the field that actually know the challenges that they are really facing for them to come up with the solution, considering the problems that they have actually faced, you won't be able to come up with a solution that will work for them. So them being included, them being helped, them bringing the decision, bringing the challenges and mentioning the solutions that can work for them is actually something that should also be put into consideration. I talked about the side of the government. I would also like to talk about the side of the youth, which is them realizing that this is an opportunity that they are given to actually bring in these ideas, bring in these solutions. There are very many thematic areas. There is peace and security, there is youth in business. The whole forum has been talking about how youth should be informed, youth in research. You can't come up with some solution out of nowhere. You've not realized the environment you're living in. You've not observed to actually know the opportunities that you have. There are so many donations around East Africa, donations internationally. When you get to actually pay attention to those, know your passion, know the research around everything that you want to work on, it gives you the opportunity to actually know how you're going to go about it. My colleagues talked about nothing without us. That means if they include you, you know what you know the challenges, you know the solutions, you actually know what you bring to the table and what you can actually do about it. So you being informed about different opportunities around the globe makes you, gives you the capacity to actually put your dreams into practice, and that's all I have to say about this forum. Thank you again.
Amahoro, Brawaneza. Je m'appelle Gilbert Chimimana et je suis rwandais. J'aimerais parler en anglais ou bien en français. En Kinyarwanda, murakoze cyane. Icyo naheraho ni ukubanza kubashimira ubuyobozi bw'igihugu cy'u Burundi kudutumira muri forum. Twize byinshi nk'u Rwanda n'u Burundi iyo urebye ni ibihugu bimeze kimwe, donc bijya kumera kimwe d'une façon culturelle, d'une façon sociale, d'une façon économique même, d'une façon historique. Niyo mpamvu ibyinshi dushobora kubisangira. Nk'uko rero bagenzi banjye babivuze, iyi forum ni forum yabaye nziza cyane kubera yuko abajene, urubyiruko dufite hall ikomeye, dufite akazi gakomeye ko kugira ngo turebe izi vision 2040-2060 kugira ngo igihugu cyacu Burundi, ibihugu byacu Rwanda, Uganda, which are going in those vision developing country. So akazi dufite gakomeye ni ukubanza kubyiyumvisha. People have been saying about mentalities. Yes, mentality is a very big issue that we need to handle, and the way it must be handled, it will start from us. We must be the change, and we are able, we have that kind of ability. I just want to say that the change actually starts from the young people. As those vision we are facing, we will be their leaders. In 2060, we be the leaders of our nations. So what do we have to do now? So actually, the thing is we need to be the player, the key player. I just actually want to thank the president of the nations of East Africa, because they understand the concept of the youth. They understand youth. So when you see the forums, when you see the actions, the policies, they are developed and the youth are put into the center of every activity, every action. For us in Rwanda, we have like a good practice. We have what is called youth mainstreaming. So when people are trying to elaborate the policies, they try to put youth in the center of all corners of the nation. So when you go in health, when you go in infrastructure, when you go in industry, when you go in education, when you go in environment, so they are in there. So for example, the first thing is, I just want to share the experience, the best practice. For example, as you have Paej, it seems like Youth Connect we have in Rwanda. So actually Youth Connect is a big program, but we have some series of Youth Connect. Within Youth Connect, we have what is called youth volunteerism. Youth volunteerism, it means we youth, African youth, Burundian youth, we just have to work for our nation without expecting some benefit, direct benefit, for the sake of the nation. This is the thing we need to understand. The second one is what is called a Youth Connect Dialogue. So as you are doing here, we are meeting some leaders. So for us in Rwanda, we meet the national leader, the country leaders, the president, the other leaders, and also role models. And then we discuss, we exchange ideas. And after that, the youth are just changing their mind. They are being inspired. And we also have what is called Youth Eco Brigade, ecology, les brigadiers de l'environnement, de l'écologie. Youth Eco Brigade, these are the youth who has companies, but they're in charge of environment protection. For, as you see, we have, those guys are in charge of cleaning Kigali, greening Kigali, they're in charge of protecting the lake, live here in Nyabarongo, the lake, and so on. We also have what is called road maintenance. These are the companies, these are the programs or the projects where you have to be integrated. Actually, what I just want to say is the change will start from us, but actually, as we are lucky to have the authorities who understand us, we just need to take responsibilities. So, je peux même utiliser le français pour vous aider. Il y a aussi, je peux dire que pour conclure, ce que nous avons besoin, ce que nous pouvons faire comme les jeunes africains, les jeunes burundais, les jeunes rwandais, nous devons comprendre que la vision 2040, le Burundi émergent, 2060, le Burundi développé, ça va commencer par nous. Ça, c'est la mentalité que beaucoup de personnes, des intellectuels qui vont passer ici, ont été en train de discuter sur. Donc, les changements commencent par nous. Nous n'avons pas beaucoup de ressources, nous n'avons pas de financement, beaucoup de financement, mais nous avons de l'intelligence, nous avons de capacité à faire ça. Donc, le fait que nous avons changé notre mentalité, et tout va bien. Et aussi, pour conclure, je peux dire que le gouvernement doit intégrer le génie dans tous les organes qui prennent des décisions. Je peux dire que si tu participes dans le planning, si tu participes dans l'exécution et même dans les évaluations, ça veut dire que ça va nous intégrer dans toutes les activités du pays. Et je peux aussi dire que pour je suis vraiment impressionné. Les Burundais aussi, vous avez aussi les jeunes professeurs ici. J'ai vu beaucoup de jeunes professeurs. Pour nous au Rwanda, c'est un peu impossible d'avoir les jeunes professeurs. Et ça, c'est aussi une très bonne chose. Et aussi, je veux dire aussi courage aux jeunes là qui ont déjà fait beaucoup de choses. Ça va bien et aussi, il ne faut pas stopper. Il faut continuer comme ça. Ça va très bien. Aussi, je vous remercie aussi les organisateurs de cet événement, de cet forum. Nous avons vraiment très bien accueillis. Je vous remercie.
So, please, before going further, I need to tell the organization to quickly call the coordination of Paej, team coordination of Paej for the family picture, but also the permanent secretary for the picture, please. You should.